Welcome, fellow Earthlings. It's another Friday. We are back. Excited to be here. Another week has gone. It is definitely, you'll hear this more often until it happens, but it is almost Christmas. Can't believe it's going so quickly, but this week was fun. Did a lot more transcribing, kind of tailgated on last week's transcribing Shane Theriot stuff. We're going to go over some of that. If you guys didn't join us last week, check out that last podcast because there's a lot of Steve put a time code in there, which is really cool. So where you could see the parts of the lesson. A lot of lesson material we went over transcribing wise, but we went over some really cool licks. And this week I'm going to expand on that a little bit. We're going to do a little fun ear training test with Steve. He's not aware of this, but I think it could be fun. If you see that face, you know he didn't know about this. It's not to embarrass him at all, because it's not going to. I guarantee he passes with flying colors, and it's more just I just want to show ways that simple ways that you can make sure your ear is in line for transcribing, if that makes sense. We'll go into that later. But we're going to also talk about Alan Hinds. He's with Men at Work. He's out on a tour right now, and there's a lot of videos popping up, and he just looks fantastic. He posted that he's having the time of his life, and it just, I had a bunch of friends from AIM, Steve Freeman, Sid Wolf, post that they were hanging with him backstage in Atlanta, and I assume it was Atlanta, but yeah, it looks like a fun, fantastic tour. So we'll talk a little about that. I may even go over an Alan Hinds lick because there was something I wanted to do weeks and weeks back, but blah, blah, blah. So here comes Steve. Steve, how you doing? We're going to be transcribing this for sure.
Here it is, everybody. Welcome to the I Think We're Live podcast, featuring Mr. Hang Time himself, David Clayton, and myself, Stephen Michaels, every Friday night. David, how are you? I am happy to be here. I wasn't expecting a quiz. Hopefully I won't fail.
All right, the music is a little overcoming your audio.
But it's all about this calliope music. Anyway, ear training was the worst class I had. I actually had the director of education. Oh, it won't stop.
Oh man, we need this theme. We're a bunch of clowns.
Anywho, ear training was my. Oh my God! Look at it, won't stop.
Listen. There you go. You got to do the gentle put down. Too violent, Steve. You got that Jersey violence in you.
I do. So yeah, ear training was a rough class for me. That was I had Beth Marlis for that, who is
did you really?
Yeah, the director of education for that. And I failed miserably at that class. I was so bad at it. So terrible. So I'm really, the bar is low. But I will say, as I've told you, we spoke a couple of times this week. I've been actually working on, I don't know if I would classify it as transcribing, but I am really focusing on just doing a lot, like watching a lot of videos, just isolated guitar, whether that's Shane. I did a bunch of Robin Ford licks, like stuff that I heard, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little burst. Let me learn that, or like little sequence of notes. So I've been doing that since like Sunday. And so it's, you said this last week, and you said basically the more you do it, and it's kind of dumb, but it's like, yeah, the more you do something, you're going to get better at it if you're intentional. And right. So I've noticed, just really, because I've been working on this now pretty heavily for the last couple of weeks, it is getting easier to figure stuff out and kind of hear stuff. And you would think for somebody that has an associate's degree in music and went to GIT and studied with all these guys, that I would have probably worked on transcribing stuff more, but I was so into just like learning licks and kind of writing my own stuff that I never really got into that. And I don't know what suffered. Something suffered, probably my ear. I mean, clearly, you know what I mean? Like, you have to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
So,
of course, yeah.
but yeah, good week. And I off topic, I think I told you this. As we all know, I purchased the Vemuram pedal, and I think tomorrow is my last day with it. I am going to be returning it. It is a fantastic pedal. If it was $200 or under, it would be a lifer pedal, but I just can't justify the cost. So I am going to be bringing it back tomorrow.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw a video with Pete.
Yeah, Pete Honore. Yeah.
Who?
Danish Pete.
Yeah, okay. I thought his last name. Why did I think his last name was Cornish?
No.
Okay.
No, Pete Cornish is David Gilmour's guy. He's the guy who built David Gilmour's.
Okay. So yeah, Pete of the pedal show, he did a comparison between the Jan Ray and the ODS Shanks. And it was interesting because he's like, I've been waiting for these pedals for a long time. I just didn't pull the trigger. And I'm like, wait a second, aren't you in association with Anderton? Like, don't you have every pedal in the world? And wouldn't you get a good price on those? I just didn't, it didn't make sense. But they sounded great. And, that
guy's a good player, man.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Yep. So that was fun to see that. I'm sticking with all my Jan Rays. In fact, I was going to plug into the Soldano this week. I was also going to plug into the Tonex and get that going here because last week's tone that I had was awful when I re-listened to it, and I realized I had somehow swept my EQs on my amp when I had been moving it. So the treble was down, which I usually have down anyway, but the middle was all the way down. So it was so thick and it didn't have any detail to it. Like it was literally the middle was on, I think, 1 and the treble was on 1. And it was just, so now I think I got a little better tone, but it's hard when you're micing things up and changing the mic, especially because I have one speaker in the angle in the amp. If you angle the mic, you get a little flatter sounding and it takes off.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of mic techniques. So there's so many variables in every time I change this. It's just easier maybe to do the Tonex thing. So I may dive back into that. Or I have this one, I'm sitting here at all my computers. I have all these monitors. One day I'll turn around the camera and show you this. It's a good setup, but I have like 3 amps. I have a Diamond positron head. I have a Soldano. I have the EVH. And then I have my Bogner 112 speaker all piled up. And they're easily accessible. But the problem is, and I could put a mic there and leave it permanent, but now the guitar is coming right at me, inches away, and then it may interfere with this mic. So I'm like, it's easier to have the mic behind all these cabinets and then be miking back there. Anyway,
now,
whatever.
Are you miking that in another room or?
It's kind of in another room. So if you go back here and then you go that way around the corner, the amp's going all the way back there, and so at least it's not. And actually, the amp's turned around too, because I'm bad at harsh tones. That's why I turn my treble down a lot and everything. So I always have my amp kind of skewed sideways because I don't like direct speaker at all.
I agree. I like that kind of. That effect where it kind of bounces off the wall, and it's not so harsh. But it's funny too because when I was going through, like the whole am I going to keep this or am I going to get rid of it? I literally pulled out like 17 like various drive, gain, overdrive, pedals and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I got a lot of pedals, and some of them were surprisingly I'm like, wow, I don't know why I don't use this. So I was putting them through. I have I have a Hot Rod Deluxe 3, which is, people used to crap on those, but it's a really, really good amp.
Solid.
And and then I have that, and I have a couple of Fenders, but the other one that I have that's smaller is the Vibro Champ 10-inch that they had released a few years ago, and that's just a freaking killer amp. And everything I put through it sounded awesome. And I'll still say that the Vemuram, the Landau, the Butter Machine, definitely is a much darker pedal. It just kind of like the only thing that I had that was kind of remotely as close to dark sounding was the Sir Shiba pedal that I have.
So what I do with that Vemuram, I'm always. Sometimes I have it on. Like right now, I have the Vemuram. I have the Butter Machine with the that booty G pumped in front of
Mm-hmm.
it, and the
Mm-hmm.
shanks as well. And the shanks is doing very little. It's just tightening things up and giving a little bit more breath to it. And it's like,
Okay.
it's funny because that's Landau. He was using the butter machine and, you know, all the other pedals, the OD, all the OD1 or the SD9 or whatever, or the one of those. And then
His
now,
SD9.
yeah, when you look on his board, I don't think he has that on there now. Now he has the booty G going into the butter machine, just like me. And I don't know. I haven't seen him actually do it live, but I would assume he probably almost has that always on. Because the butter machine's amazing, but like you said, it has a dark thickness to it, and to cut through a little bit, you have to like loosen that up a little, and I think that pedal does that amazingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's there is nothing wrong with that pedal, but I just, you know, for just only being, you know, a fiscal adult, I just can't justify keeping it when. You know, when I'm playing, 99% of the time I'm playing through the Tone X anyway. I'm just kind of like, you know, not using the Tone X for a couple. I don't think I've used it for like a month, but you know, I go back to stuff, but I know inevitably I will go back to it, and then I won't use the pedals for like a year. So I just don't think it's worth keeping it. But
we're gonna have to get back into that Tone X thing, and also the NAMM stuff. There's been a lot of chatter about NAMM 2 and all that
too,
stuff.
yeah, and that's a whole other thing that we have to kind of get back into, because the NAMM 2 stuff is outrageous.
Yeah.
So we'll get back into that if anybody's kind of interested in stuff. I think, like most things with guitar, you know, it's very cyclical, and I think that's just because that's where the inspiration comes from. For me, that's totally, you know, like I just like taking sonic types of breaks, and I like switching guitars up, and so, you know, that's why like I've been using the Hamer a little bit more. You know, I just think that's what keeps it fresh, you know. So that's it for me. But yeah,
we got a Jimmy
week.
Baseball too. I think I know who that is. What's up, brother? Bangladesh. You're far worlds off. And if it's who I think it is, I'm going to talk to you hopefully this weekend. I'll give you a call. As far as what we're going to work on, the Shane things, let me just play it, give a little tease of these are the two things. This is last week. We went over this tune, this I can't see the screen, it's too far away. Cabadillo Breeze or whatever Breeze. But there's you'll hear a few licks that we went over, but it goes into this really cool chromatic thing that funny enough is something I had transcribed a long time ago. Not this. Shane very rarely does licks and does things that he repeats over and over. This is one of a similar thing that I had learned at music school that he played. Almost the whole sequence, not exactly the same, which was interesting, because that's why I didn't kind of hear it as that. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then as I transcribed it, I go, wait a second, that's exactly like this, but in a different key and also doing a few different moves. But you'll hear it. Here it is. So cool. But that chromatic lick is just crushing, dude. So fun. And it's really simple, just bluesy pivoting notes, but it's got chromatics on the top, and then he climbs up a little arpeggio, and it's just so melodic. Everything he leads into and out of so well. It's not just this lick that hits you. And there was somebody else I was listening to Oznoy. We'll get into that in 1 second. Remind me the Oznoy thing. I just want to touch on that. And this is the other lick that we're gonna get. It's the intro to a melody. This is the tune Mr. Ed, Shane Theriot, and the funny thing is that there's not a lot of soloing going on. So I not that I dismissed this tune, I really liked it, but it's a groove and it goes on, and it's kind of short. I think it's only, oh no, maybe is it a 3-minute song? crazy. It didn't seem that way. But there's, you know what? This isn't. There's another song that he has that's really just melody, and it's a short tune. This one is a cool melody. The solo's cool, but it's got like a fuzz kind of octa thing on it. And my ear tends to, no matter how cool the solo is, when those effects are on, I don't love them.
They're out.
You know?
Yeah.
And so this one I not dismissed, but the intro little melody that it has is so cool, and he does this one tension thing that is awesome. So let's listen to this real quick. But it's so good. It gets the great thing is the groove. If you hear the bass movement, it's like just this. It's like Mr. Ed, like a sluggish kind of horse, and it's so appropriate. And then the melody, he doubles up towards that end, towards right where I stopped it, and his composition is just genius. And it's simple.
That kind of reminds me a little of like Alan a little bit.
Yes,
like Alan Hinds.
Yep. And but there's that one little move where he plays that same phrase over, and like the beginning is if you could hear my guitar here, but yeah, right there, right. But then he comes into it and goes, he gets that bend and that. Oh my God, dude. It's just the simplest move in the world, but it just makes that same melody just have a little more attitude to it. So we'll go over these two little things, but the Oz Noy thing, what I wanted to chat about real quick is, it's funny. I'm listening to Spotify on my walk, and Shane, I'm just thinking of what I'm going to transcribe and do all this. And then all of a sudden Oz comes on. And I love his stuff. I really do. There's a lot of great grooves in there, and his solos are unique. But what I realize about East Coast jazz, Krantz, what's his name?
Wayne Krantz.
Oz Noy, Mike Stern. There's something that they do that I don't vibe with very well. And let me know if you have the same thought on this, actually, or if anybody out there listening has the same kind of thought about this. I love all of this stuff, the fusion, the jazz, but there's something about that East Coast, specifically New York jazz, that it's very angst-ridden, I think. When they're playing fast lines, there's never really a fast line that I break down that, like all these little fast chain lines, they're so cool and so slick, and they got a bluesy thing, even though they're fast.
There's a lot. I think the way that we may have had this conversation a while ago, and I think we kind of summed it up. And it's such a, I don't know if it's anything that anybody that would, with a brain would come out and say, but I think like the big difference is that East Coast jazz is a little more jagged as far as the guitar playing goes, and West Coast, jazz guitar, like the fusion guys, they're a little more greasy, a little more like, I don't want to use the word polished, but just definitely more, there's a little more grease on it, which I think kind of gives it a little more of a slick feel.
Yeah.
Where New York is just angular and jagged. I don't personally like the New York guys. I mean, Mike Stern's awesome. I don't dislike them, but I'm just, I'm not a fan of that.
No, and I tend to like a lot more their tunes. Like I love a lot of Oz tunes, even Chromazone, like Mike Stern. Like I like a lot of like what's going on with the melody and the tunes. But then when the solos come, they kind of try and I know they're not doing it because of this, but it's almost like they're doing outside because they're thinking, I'm going to go outside now, right? I'm going to pull your ear outside, and now I'm going to do this wonky, weird stuff. And then also when they do fast runs, like Oz broke into this thing where it was 16th notes for maybe 12 measures. I mean, it was a ton of 16th notes, but he had so much complexity in there, and I could appreciate that. Like I'm hearing, oh, there's a crazy arpeggio. Okay, there's like an altered scale thing for sure. And then okay, there's some chromaticism. There's a straight scale run. There's some pivoting notes. Like I could see all the thing. There's so much going on. I don't know how his mind works that fast without missing notes, because it's hundreds of notes, and they're so beautiful and clean. But to me, there was nothing that I was like, oh, that's awesome. Did you hear that? Like even this Shane thing where he just bent the string and did that little thing. It pulled my ear out, and I was like, that's awesome. What is he doing there? Why did that make such an impact for 1 second? Or even his fast lines when he does walk down things and he does... They always resolve in some kind of thing that's really cool. That one line where we walked down the scale, and then we did that thing where he pivots off notes, then goes up here and pivots off notes, and he keeps the pattern going. So it was a descent up into this weird lick, angular lick that kind of went, but it was so... I don't know. I don't know really how to describe it.
Yeah.
But we got a few people saying,
I got some
Anita.
comments and some love.
I know this is family day, I think, because Anita, how you doing? Everybody's, I think, in my brother's backyard right now.
Oh, that's great.
New Year Kid, Shane's phrase.
Everybody out of Western Jersey.
I don't know New Year Kid though. Maybe I do, but I don't. Shane's phrasing is so unusual. I agree. It actually expand on that and let us know how you describe that, because that's what I've been trying to say in this whole thing, where everything Shane plays has a different... The phrase just seems to slip and slide, and it's never... Even when he repeats things, and he does a lot of things where he'll play something, go down an octave, play something, go down, play it slightly different, and then he goes into something else. And every time he does that, even those 2 times that he repeats it, he's shifting it just slightly or holding one note just a little longer. Yeah. So the phrase is never like just a pattern, you know. And it's so fascinating. And it happens with his slow lines, melodic, or his fast lines. It's really, really cool. I'm doing fine playing some funky music. White boy, play some funky music. So yeah, let's real quick get into one of these things, because I think last week when I looked at some of the analytics, people were enjoying some of the lesson-y kind of stuff. So let's do that one, the one we started last week, and we'll get into that one little the fast line.
Cool.
So let's share the screen real quick. This is again Shane Theriot's off of his Highway 90 Alado Breeze. I can't read it.
Caballito Breeze.
Caballito, is that a B up there?
I don't know.
So bad. Okay, so this is the line that we're gonna go over. The first part is when I raise my finger. This is the new line we'll go over, but the rest of it is what we went over last week. So if you're interested in looking at this, check out this stuff from last week. Also, anybody here, like and subscribe, please. Both on YouTube here, just click the like button. It's so simple. Just go click. And it helps us. Write a comment after this video if you want. Go to our YouTube page. All these little things help. Steve just disappeared. Steve is back.
I just got my guitar.
Once he gets his guitar, everything disappears, because we know some sweet, sweet jams are coming. Oh, you got the hammer. I like it. Okay, so here is the Shane tune. Let me get my desktop audio on, and here we go. Here's the fast lick. So real quick, let me go over what we did last week, just because I love that stuff, and we'll hear the very beginning of that. So that's what we went over last week, and real simply played. It is he's doing this. Let me get my guitar on. It's right, and I'm trying to do it slow, so it's kind of, he's got a little scrape here that if you watch last week's video, you'll see it's a little hard to do actually, but it's I'm sorry. That's what he does. He scrapes down to those two notes, and he gets a double stop. Then he picks this note, and then he slides down the double stop. So it's... That's a cool little skipping strings of intervals. Then he slides up to that bend. Then he gets into just this little cool little melody. And all that is this is all in E flat, right? A flat, E flat. He's got two chords going on below, but he's sliding up from the 14th fret to 13th fret to the 14th fret. Then he just walks down that 14, 13, 11. Then he slides down on the B string to the 9th fret, and he bends that up. And he does basically the same phrase, right? But this time with a bend instead of sliding into the first note. So, and then he goes down to the 6th fret on the D string, and he just bends that up and down. Right? Really, really simple phrase. Really, and that's that whole idea where he does two phrases an octave down from each other, basically. And you can also play it here. Instead of sliding down to that 9th fret on the B string, you could slide down, if you think of this as like your E flat pentatonic, and you slide from that flat 5 on the G string, 14th fret to 13th fret, and then use the 11th fret. That's the same phrase. So you have... Right? And now you slide to the 11th fret on the A string, and you have the same exact thing. And you have that same phrase. So you have... Or... Alright, same exact thing, a little different texture because the things are strings are a little thicker. They're a little punchier on the B string instead of that G string. So that's the beginning of that phrase. And then comes the crazy chromatic thing. So let me play it one more time and you'll hear all what we just played, and we'll get to that chromatic thing. Here comes that. So good. Let me get back to mark that. Okay, here's the line. So Steve, I'm turning off my desktop audio for now. Or anybody out there, what do you hear? If we don't transcribe this, let's do a little ear training thing. What do you actually hear in this fast lick? Anything stands out? Any techniques that are being used? What are you actually hearing? Here you go.
Wait, hang on a second. Let me crank the volume up on the back end so I can hear it.
Let me know when. Good. One more time. Let me go back. Hold on. Here we go. One more time. Okay, is there anything that you hear that's actually going on there?
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear the audio at all?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure the desktop's audio. I'm going to play it 2 or 3 times so you can loop it, right? You ready? Here we go. One more time. And then one final time. Don't try and figure it out. I just want to hear what you have to say. Like what techniques are being used, what you're hearing that stands out without playing it. Okay, let me know. What do you think? What are the things that are that pop and you go, I recognize that, or I know what's going on. I don't know where it is. I don't know the notes, but I know the technique. So what stands out to you?
Well, to me, it just like sounds like a legato line to me. Like
okay,
that's okay. See, that's why I'm terrible at ear training.
No. That's totally fine. That's not what I would expect you to say though, because the first few notes are definitely solidly picked. And then there are legato movements in there. And maybe when you say legato things, what do you mean by that?
Like I hear like that he's not picking. I actually hear.
So there. Okay, and then is there anything else that kind of stands out? Let me do this. Watch. I'm going to do it half speed, and then you're going to hear this, and now you're going to pick out more. And again, the only reason I'm able to pick out a lot of this, again, I've been doing this for over 20 years, transcribing. So when I hear this at full speed, I quickly hear all these things, and I'll tell you what they are. But at the first, I needed to hear something like this that I'm not used to at half speed. And then I'd be able to go, oh, there, so it's just a matter of doing it more, and then you'll pick these things out. But I guarantee when you hear this at half speed, you will pick out a bunch of other things. Here we go. We'll play it like 3 times again. Desktop audio's on. Share screen, and here we go. One more time. All right, what do you got? Anything new? No? Okay. All right. It's not so here's the thing. At the very beginning, you can clearly as you get into this, you start we got a few no sound. Sorry about that. Have a good night, boys. Got to take care of the ladies. Hey now. That is my brother for sure. Taking care of the ladies. Later, Jimmy Baseball. Anita, sounds very good. Thank you. Then Ryan said 9, 10, 11, 10, 9 on the B string. Alt picker. Yep, that's exactly it. Yep. So very good, Ryan. So and it's picked. Yep, exactly. I don't
hear that. I don't hear that picked.
Okay, and then Shane has his own nuances touch, same as Jimmy Herring. Exactly. Jimmy Herring is, and Jimmy used to teach at AIM, and Shane knew Jimmy from MI because he was a teacher there after he had graduated too. So there are a lot of Steve Morrissey kind of things that Jimmy does. They both use way rawer processing than sound than Ozin's. Exactly. Totally. But your chromatic thing, so the first thing you pick up, and I'll play it one more time, and as I speak about this, so the beginning of the lick is this. Okay, so you clearly hear, you could clearly hear really close notes, right? And they're going up and they're going down, and they're basically going, let me turn my guitar on. They basically are going, then you hear a pull off. Up 3 notes, down 3 notes, pull off. And I'll go over this note for note in a second, but listen to it again at 50%. So you hear da 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 da, right? You hear that you'll learn to hear these things, but you hear clearly it's not an arpeggio. Clearly it's not a scale going up and just continuing up or going down. You hear the movement going up and down, and you hear it's very close notes. Now, the second thing I would say that I hear distinctly as you're going through this is there's going to be what comes after that. After that climb down, you'll hear something specific happen. Right there. Those last few notes. We'll play it one more time. Okay, that is, you hear it pivoting off of notes. Bumpa, bumpa, bump, right? So now I know there's a chromatic thing, there's some pivoting happen, and if we go further, we'll hear something similar. Right there. The da-na, da-na. Dun 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 dun, and it goes down, right? Again, another pivoting thing. Dun 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 dun, right? It's shifting between notes, but staying in this. So you have either climbing, ascending things, descending things. You have a quick chromatic thing, things going back and forth. Then you have a pivoting thing. Then you have another spot where it's going down, but then it stays in a spot for a second and it's pivoting. Dun 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 dun. And it goes down. So it's staying in that general region. And now this is just getting your ear acquainted to, okay, there's a few different movements. It's not just an arpeggio sequence. It's not just a scale going up or down. It's got some movement, chromaticism to some pivot note. And the whole line is descending down, if you hear, right? If you go from the first note all the way through the lick, you're getting down. So that last note you end on is dun, right? Dun, 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 dun. So you know this is a descending pattern. So you know what you're working with a little bit before you even proceed to transcribe this lick. So the lick, let's go over the lick the way I first learned it. And it's the way that Ryan mentioned, starting on 9, 10, 11, right? The chromaticism on the B string. However, I have a feeling he's playing this down on the 4th fret, and I'll explain why I have a feeling he's doing that. So the lick is, let me get to my screen, turn off the desktop audio, and pull the camera down just a little bit. All right, so the lick starts with, it's 9, 10, 11, 10, 9 on the B string. And what I think he's doing, what it sounds like he's doing, what feels familiar from taking lessons from Shane and the way he does things, and it's all picked, 9, 10, 11, 10, and then you pull off that last 10 to 9. So the last note is pulled off. And then you're going to pull off from 11 on the G string to 8 on the G string. Then you're going to circle around that lick again and do the 9th fret on the B string with your 2nd finger, and then pull off again 11 to 8 on the G string. So you basically go... It's almost like that happens twice. So you go... And then you slide down a half step to the 9th fret. And then that's where the pivot stuff happens. So once you slide down to the 9th fret, and then you go 10... I'm sorry. You slide from the 8th fret to the 7th fret. To the 7. Right. Yep. 8 to 7, and then you're going to go 8 to 10 on the D string. So you have... I'm sorry, you don't actually go 8 to 10. You just go to the 8. So you slide down from 8 to 7, and then you go to 8 on the next string. And then the pivot is coming off of this 8th fret, and you're using your pinky on the G string going 10, 9, 8. But every time in between, you're hitting that 8th fret. So it goes... Right? Then he does another... Once he does that pivot, he does another slide from the 6th fret on the G string down to the 5th fret. So now you have another half-step slide. And that's where he does that thing that I was saying, where it's the... when you slide down from 6 to 5 on the G string, you go up from 6 to 8 on the D string. So you have... And then you come back up to that 5th fret. So it's a walk around from the G string 5th fret to the D string 6 and 8, back up to that first finger on the 5th fret, and then you're going to put your pinky down, you're going to skip a string and go to the 9th fret. So you have... Right? So... And then you slide down to the 3rd fret. So you see where it's all descending, it's doing some pivoting stuff, and then it goes and descends again, and now you have... So that whole thing one more time is... And this is where he goes down kind of like a melodic minor thing. You have the 5th fret, or the 3rd fret on the G string. Then on the D string, you have 4, 3. And then you have 6, 5 on the A string. So 2 half steps, just a whole step away. So here you go. And then he gets up there. So he's going back up to that 3rd fret on the D string. Then he goes 6, 2, 4. And then he slides up to an arpeggio. And he just gets a nice little, which is really fifths. And well, he's going 4, 4, 6, but he's sliding up that. And then he gets into this. It's basically a D flat arpeggio. But here he's just playing the fifths of it instead of going. Right? So the whole thing is. So he's going down, up, chromatic. There's just so much meat to it. So let's listen to that.
It's so good, dude. So good. So good. Take me a year to figure that out.
Let's listen one more time. All right, and let me play along with it once if that'll work. You know what? I didn't have my desktop audio on. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's play this screen there, and I'll see if my guitar level. I won't try and interfere too much. One more time. Do it at full speed. I don't know if I could play along with it at full speed. We'll try. Oh, and I need to have my guitar on before, so that's fine. And now, so the reason why I'm having problems with that is I'm a shitty guitar player, but also because the way I actually play this lick is, and have been for the last week, is on the third, down here. So I'm doing... So I'm just staying in one position.
Why did you change it?
And the reason I did that is because the lick that happens before that is... let's get to this. Here on my screen. This is the stuff that happens before that. Desktop audio. By the way, sub and subscribe if you want to. All right, here we go. So when he does that one lick, when he does that sliding part, he goes... He's down here. And then he just goes... He's already there, right? I don't think he's... And jumping up to this position, even if he does the lick here... might lead to doing this. But also the reason why I think is because this pattern, and I'll show this pattern if I can quickly, just seems a little easier to do. Because you're pivoting off of these notes, then you're just using... Everything's within a scale pattern. This pattern, walking down the fretboard, is a little more complex because you're actually... Even those pivot notes are just weird with your second finger being the strong pivot. And then sliding down here, then doing a lick here, then sliding down again and keep going down. I don't recall him do... He does stuff like that, but I don't know. I just thought it was happening here more. And it's also because the first way... I think he taught me a lick similar to this, and I'll show that lick, back at music school, and I even had it on transcription paper and everything. And... Or maybe it came from one of his very, very first tunes, like one of the ones that were on Guitar on the Edge or something. But it's basically this lick. Let me have turn off my desktop audio real quick. Yep. That's it. But it's the same thing. It's chromatic going up from, and this is basically where you'll see the shape. Before, our shape was down a half step, right? And it was down here. And if you start on the E string, on the 4, 5, 6, and you go down, and then you pull off that on the B string, on the 7th fret to the 4th fret. Right? That's the same thing as... If you notice where that is, that's it's E flat pentatonic, right? That's all you're doing. You're just doing E flat minor pentatonic. You're doing that pattern that kind of goes behind that second one everybody knows. But when I was learning this lick here, in the movement, instead of going... Right? It's going down to this note instead. Or that's it. Immediately goes 10, 11, 12, 11, 10. Then it goes 13, 10 down to the 12th fret on the G string. So then it does a sequence of pull-offs. Then it does 13, 10, then you move down a half step on the G string and do 12, 9. And now you're in the position for that pivoting note. You're pivoting off this 9th fret on the G string, and you're going 12, 11, 10. And now it goes 12, 9, 12. You're going down to the D string, right? So, and then here's the cool little pivot part. You go back up to the G string and you go 9, 11, and then 8. 9, 11, 10 on the D string. So 9, 11 on the G string, 10 on the D string. And then you go back up to that 11 and pull off to the 9. So you're hammering on 9 to 11, pivot down to 10, 11 to 9, pivot to 10, right? So you have... And then there's that melodic minor again. From the 9, 2 half steps on the D string from 10 to 9, and then 2 half steps on the A string, 12 to... So if you're in A, you have your minor, major 7, right? And that's your melodic minor, a major 7 with a minor 3rd. Yep. Then you can do whatever you want after that. But you see the similarity in the lick, but it's not exactly the same. So now that lick down here is basically, so if you knew that pattern, you would think it would be the same thing. If I do that pattern down here, right? But really what's going on in this lick is, you hear the difference? So this one, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, right? It's never going up again. It's going 1, 2, 3, then it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down to this note. Hit the other lick goes 1, 2, 3, now it's going down. But it pivots back up to this high note first, pulls off, and goes down to this out note, right? And it slides down a half step. Yep, I think you got it, Steve. So it's 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. On the next string, it goes 7, pull off to 4, pivot up to 4 on the E string, pull off again on 7, 4, slide down a half step to 3, and now you're going to bar over the 3rd fret on the G string, and now you're back to that pivot point. 3 on the G string to 6, 5, 4 with your on the B string. So, but in between, you're pivoting each time. So you have. And now the move is on the G string, you have 6 to 5 to 6 on the D string. So you're doing this little triangle thing. 6, 5, 6. Now you do that pivot thing where you go from the 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the G string, hammer on to the 5th, and pivot down to the 4th on the next string. And then you turn that around by pulling off from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret. So, yep. Now the lick's the same as when you were sliding down. You got your melodic minor part here. So, just such a cool lick. I mean...
Damn, dude.
Yeah, let's hear it one more time. Let's hear it and play that. Desktop audio and 100%. But he's so comfortable playing it, everything about it. It's just slick, it's just smooth. It leads into a nice little melodic thing, bringing you back up and floating you back up into the air. It's so good, dude. So I hope you guys like that. If you liked it, if you want the transcription to that, let me know. I'll put it on the Patreon, blah, blah, blah. But you got to let me know in the comments. Or maybe even after the video or whatever. Let's see what we got with the comments. Shane has nuances. I can see how this can be done in the 4th position as well. Yep. Yeah, it's just simple, and you can play it wherever you want. Again, now I'm getting comfortable with this lick because I've transcribed 2 different styles of it, and it's becoming part of my playing. It always was, because I've been doing that beginning of the lick, little chromatic thing with some pull-offs and pivots. I've been doing that for 20 years, since music school or whatever. But now that I've moved it in instead of sticking in that one position, now I'm doing the one where it moves down through positions. That's really interesting to me. That gets you to want to do different things. And the way I've been doing it, I've just been doing it. And when I get to a certain point, do something else, break out of the lick. So the whole thing is, when you get these long, long licks, you want to break out of them, get into them and break out of them your own way, as opposed to, I remember learning licks at Atlanta Institute of Music, and then going on stage on Friday and doing the performance class. And it was always, you knew which lick everybody's been focusing on, because, you're jamming, you get your solo section, you jam. And then all of a sudden there's one lick that gets squeezed in there, but there was no entrance platform to it or exit. It was just the lick.
And it's you shoehorn it in.
So, but that's, unless you really, because learning the lick's one thing, getting it into your playing and really understanding how to just use it, manipulate it, only use parts of it, is a total other thing.
Yeah.
But
it's a when you learn a lick, it's true, because you could learn the lick, but then it's applying it and it's making it sound natural, and so that's half the battle. But I think just figuring it out is probably the start of it. Now let me ask you a question, and just kind of figuring this out, because I know, again, my level of doing this is like neophyte, like minus 100. I'm terrible at this. Okay. But for you, in figuring this line out, how long did it take where you had it to you could write, you had it all down, and then B, play it at an acceptable, speed, as close as you could, where you were comfortable with?
Well, this one was a lot easier, like I said, because I already had learned this years ago, and I don't remember how long it took me, and especially my skills weren't what they were back then. So even when I learned it, if Shane did teach this to me, or I learned it off of an earlier performance that I think he might have done this in a live performance at AIM or something. It could be in another tune, but I don't think he would have done that. But so I had this under my skin, most of it. So when I learned, when I learned this one, and especially when I transposed it to that fourth position, it felt much easier in that fourth position, except for that one sliding with the first finger and barring it. That was the only move that was a little different. But once I got that and I really figured out how to put my finger, it was really quick, because I pretty much knew it was similar. However, the working it down the fretboard version was confusing, because I don't see my patterns. Some people see the whole neck as one thing. Some people see them as this position of this, and they use the caged and all that and everything. I have this hybrid of caged, hybrid of being lost all the time. I'm lost a lot on the fretboard still to this day. And there are times when I really focus on it, and even in saying that little arpeggio that he does here, that he goes back up, because I was analyzing what that arpeggio was. Let me go to the main screen. I was analyzing, I'm like, well, what notes is he going up on that arpeggio? He's going from here to here to this to, right? And I'm like, okay, what are these notes he's doing? And then I realize he's going, okay, he's doing this, up a fourth, up a fifth, and then, okay, if this is really going up, ending up here, which is really a D flat arpeggio, okay, so he's doing the D flat, the fourth, then he's doing the D flat again, right, up an octave, and then he's really, when he gets up here, right? He's just doing these notes of, if you're in D flat, he's doing the fifth, the root, and back up to the fifth again. So it's just fifths and roots of that arpeggio, with the exception of the fourth here. But as I was analyzing it, I was saying, oh, okay, I see the D flat arpeggio here. I see the D flat triad here. I see the D triad here. And now the fretboard became one thing. As I'm going, then when I started going down the pattern, I'm seeing those positions of D flat, and I'm seeing where all those notes are, right? So for me, a long-winded answer to your question, that middle section, transcribing it probably took me maybe a half hour, because I'm trying to get under my fingers. I knew the notes, but then I kept stumbling on those notes every once in a while. And then to really get it down to where I could play it comfortably, which you can see I'm still not 100% at it. It took me another probably 2 days of just doing other things.
I know, for you, this is what you do, but just from like my, the pace that I transcribe stuff and kind of how I hear stuff, it's really impressive, dude. I mean, the way you just taught that was mad.
Thanks, man.
Mad impressive.
Thanks.
And we have a bunch of comments that have just popped up since you were doing this. So you want to, well, let's read and react to that. So I think we were up to where Ryan would mention that he was going to practice this line and put it up on Facebook and Instagram as a Shane appreciation post.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool.
I want to put when you do that, come back to this video if you can and put a link in the video. I want to that'd be great for other people to be able to see it too.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan says it's all about the timbre as well, listening for the frequencies, how thin, thick a note comes across. Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yep.
I don't know if you were with us last week, Ryan, but the whole genesis of where we are this week was like, because I've been getting into transcribing is, you, Ryan, you know me personally. The one thing I suck at is figuring stuff out and transcribing. So Dave is kind of made it his mission to help me get better at it. And so this is really kind of benefiting me a lot, because I am terrible at that. So yeah, that was actually a main part of our show last week, was exactly the frequencies and on the strings, and how I figured something out that was up high, higher here. And then Dave was like, no, it's, that's going to be lower, and explained why. So definitely spot on that. And Ben Brandt, welcome to the show and the conversation. And he writes, haha, got to meet Alan last night backstage at a show in Nashville. Ironic this popped up. Well, thanks so much for watching and joining us, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Do you know Alan? Or is that the first time you met him? Yeah, he's crushing it, man. In fact, just the little parts I saw that he was playing, like I said, looks like he's having fun, and his tone. I'm dying to see what he's using for his rig, because I've only seen him. I think I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl once. Maybe he got me in a show. I forget what it was for, but I know I've only seen him bake potato in a few places around here with small amps, combos, this and that, and I'm sure. With the miking and everything, he could use his regular rig, but he's used to using, stereo rigs, sometimes wet, dry, wet. I went to his house a few times, and he actually had a wet, dry, wet going, which was interesting. But yeah, I'd be very interested in seeing what he's using. I know he's using that Fractal AM4 or whatever it is, the effects, not the modeling stuff, but the one that can do, the reverbs, delays. It's got four things going on at once. And I saw him at the Baked Potato right before he went on this tour, and I was talking to him about it, and he said he likes it, but he couldn't get I didn't see the first set, and he was using his Strat on the second one. On the second set, and he said he couldn't get the tones to work with his Les Paul. And again, he had just put it on his board. I was really shocked that he was actually playing a gig without really putting it through the ringer. But he was going out soon and he wanted to use that, so he had smaller pedal board and stuff like that. So, so yeah, Ben, yeah, man, this is killer. I know him through several mutual friends. He was using 2 rocks and minimal board. Oh, he was using both his two. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Yeah, those 2 rock amps. He started using those, I don't know, maybe this year or something. He was using the red plates for a while, which are 2 rocky-ish.
Yeah.
And I thought he had a 2 rock years ago, and he didn't really vibe. Not that he didn't vibe with it, but that's maybe it was because endorsement deal or whatever. Like Red Plate was giving him some stuff. I know that.
I think Red Plate went out of business.
Oh, did they really?
I think so. I don't know if anybody's watching knows that for sure, but I think they went out of business.
Interesting. And he was using his exotic Strat. I'm sure that's a good Strat that he actually has. I know he loves his other Strats, but I'm sure with touring, he doesn't want to lose any of his good Strats that he pieces together. And that exotic Strat's a well-made Strat.
That exotic Strat was the one that we played at Guitar Center when you were here.
Yeah.
Back over the holidays, and believe it or not, that Strat is still at that same Guitar
Yeah, their
Center.
prices are a little. There's something about exotic prices that are a little goof.
Yeah.
And I don't think personally goof. Like I think they're just for the mass generic audience that wants Fenders, Gibson, this, that, and then there's Charvels, and there's all these other things. And then if you want the Sir or the Tyler, you have all these things. And then when you get into exotic, especially because they were known for pedals, I think when you get into those guitar higher price, people just aren't riding them.
I think the particular thing with those exotic Strats are they're trying to compete with the Sir. I think they're trying to and be in that price point, and LSL. I don't know if they're quite in there. I think if they were around like $2,000, that would be a home run every day. But I think the price point at $3,000 for that is
if they could squeak just under $2,000, get $1,899 or something, they would sell tons of those.
A ton, because it's a great guitar. Yeah. But if I'm gonna have $2,500 or $3,000, I'm gonna buy a Sir Classic S every day of the week on that.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more comments, and Ryan had said that he has decided he missed his job at Guitar Center. You heard it here first. Ryan was one of the instructors at Guitar Center. He is a music major here in New Jersey. Great guitar player, super cool human being. So it's funny that he said that because he left there about a month, I think, ago. And then Ben wrote, Eli's doing some good stuff with 2-Rock. I think he said we built for him big clean headroom. So cool.
Interesting. Did when Alan was playing, I haven't seen enough footage, but did he get a good amount of solo time? Did it look like they were letting him be free, and or did it look like it was tightly orchestrated and less improv? And was he singing any background vocals? That would be. I don't think he does much of that. How was his tone? Did it sound large? And where in Nashville? Was it a concert hall? Like was it a big arena? Was it like what kind of shows are they showing? And Anita says, "Hey Anita, Phil X and Bon Jovi at Madison Square Garden on the 12th. Great show." Yeah, that was something I was going to talk about too, but I didn't want to jump on the Bon Jovi bandwagon like we did the other week. I mean, we didn't really jump on it, but we were just mentioning his voice and stuff, and I saw a video of him calling it quits on stage, and I didn't actually and he had his backup singer or something standing next to him doing some of the vocals, and it's hard to see. I mean, he's struggling for sure. And I did not, the way he was talking before he went on this tour, how he wouldn't do it unless he could be close to 100%. But he said he was kind of there, and then I saw some clips of rehearsal. I was like, all right, he's there, but you can tell he's being cautious in everything he did. Everything was being perfect. He instead of focusing on just being there and singing, he was really, you could tell he was thinking about the movements of his vocal cords and what was going on, and he was being gentle. And I was like, man, I don't know how long, that maybe another year of rehab on that could have done something.
Yeah, I think now as you're seeing the whole thing, and I don't want to go too far off this conversation into Bon Jovi land, but I think like my final point with that would be, you're seeing he's just, I think 9 shows in like 15-20 days, and they're playing 3-hour shows. I think was a little aggressive. I mean, he's like 6 shows into it, and he had to walk out last night. I hope he figures it out. Now, look, we've had some really weird weather here lately. I mean, we had the wildfires here last week, and that definitely, it was hard to breathe. I mean, you could
Right.
literally walk out here and smell the smoke, and and obviously it's just been probably a lot of work on his voice that he probably should have maybe have pushed it off for another year. But I'm pulling for
Yeah.
for
Oh,
Ben.
definitely. Yep. And then we got Ben. I do some demos for Exotic in Nashville. They are much better than LSL. So that's funny because when I played Alan's Exotic, he has so many good vintage guitars that he pieces together parts, and I mean, of course, you hear it in his tone. He knows tone. He knows really good equipment and gear, and it didn't feel as good as the Strats that he had, that like I was playing there. And then when I played that, it was good, but you know it was more like he's just in with the Exotic world because of his pedal, and they finally put his name on a pedal. That was a big thing for years. He was endorsing that one pedal, but his name wasn't actually on it. And there was a whole bunch of that went into that. So when he was using that guitar, he would play it once in a blue moon at the Baked Potato. He'd bring it with him, and he'd play it for a song or two maybe. But he always has his Les Paul, and he has his other stuff. As far as LSL goes, isn't that the guitar we played at Guitar Center when I came home for the holidays? Was that an LSL? No, a G&L.
G&L.
Oh, right.
We played two G&Ls, which the G&L
and the one was insane. Like
G&L was insane.
That was a Strat, right?
Yes.
And I was gonna, and it was like $4,000 maybe, $3,000.
Yeah.
I don't need another guitar, and I couldn't stop thinking about that. I wanted to.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore. I'm assuming.
No, there's the other. There was, so this is back again. Now, keep in mind we're talking 6 months ago, almost 7 months ago now. The G&L is still there, and the Exotic is still there.
Okay.
The
G&L that we loved,
no,
or the
that's
second
gone.
one. Okay,
That's
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
The second one, which wasn't that great,
Right.
But that Exotic was really nice, but that G&L was
fabulous. Could not put it down.
The
minute you picked it up, it felt so good, and it's the pickups, everything about it. It was just. It's one of those that I will remember as one that got away, because I know that would have been like my sir that I would. Yeah, it was just awesome, but do not need it. Ryan says Richie Sambora is a solid musician. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I got to say too. Well, I'll say more, but
that's all you need to say.
Yeah, he is. I love Stranger in This Town is when I saw an interview where he was just talking about, probably just a couple days ago. He was talking about how, he just wanted to break out and express himself a little more, right? I mean, and he did that album, and I think that was one of the best albums a guitar player has put out. It was so soulful. The songs were great. The tone was great. There was so many good little licks in there, but funny enough, no licks that I really wanted to. I've learned a few of them and a few of the solos, but none that I was like I want to, like the Shane licks we just went over. I love those because they sparked so many new ideas. The Richie ones are just solidly structured solos with great tone, very bluesy, nothing that we haven't played before, but the way he plays it just works so well. And I can listen to that album over and over, and his vocals on that are just amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
What do we got? Ben,
We're up to Ben. Yep.
Yeah, he got to step out a bit, but still playing the parts. They played the Pinnacle at Pinnacle, which is maybe 3,000-ish with a 3-band bill. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's he is okay, that's something now. Yeah, I'm hoping to watch a bunch of videos. I don't know how many videos. I just saw some pop up on Facebook, but this weekend I'm going to explore. I want to see what he's doing, and
Yeah,
You just
I forgot all about that this week, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't seen anything pop up in my algorithm, so I'm gonna seek some stuff out.
That's a funny thing. I've been watching on a side note, and AI and how I love it. I love it for everything. I hate it for destroying the world and the energy and all that stuff. But I think
Right.
we'll solve that. I think we can come up with solutions. But I think the problem is somebody was talking about how the downside of it, the real downside that people don't understand, and this happens with everything, is that it just there's an arms race for having. It's just like beta and VHS and all this. There people are trying to get on the top of being the AI algorithm, and in that there's always power, money, and corruption, right? And not to make it political, but they get donations or they get grants, they get all these things and everything. And so I've done a bunch of things where I'll ask a question politically, and I know pretty much the answer. I'm not a one-sided person. Like, I have my thing, but I always look at other media that I don't even like, and I cringe through watching it. But I watch it because I want to hear what they're saying. And maybe if they're saying something that, oh, you know what? My algorithm's not feeding me that. So what's happening with this is, especially whether you're a Trump fan or not or whatever, Trump is giving grants to certain algorithms as long as they stay within certain parameters and don't feed certain information. And they're happy to do that so that they can continue to get this money. So now when you ask it a question, you get this very generic-y answer. And then if you push it and say, no, don't give me bullshit. I want the straight answer. I want just the facts. Then it'll say, yeah, no, I know. I was trying to say it this way because I didn't want, and then it'll get a little factual. And then when it tells you something that's not really true, that because it's not a mind, it's just pulling it's just pulling every bit of information that said stuff, whether it's true or false, and then it's compiling it and pulling out what it thinks is the most relevant to what you're asking. And then it literally will, when you push it and you say, yeah, but this is the truth, this has come out and this is in the law and the blah blah blah, and then it'll come out and it'll say things. So that's the scary part, where we're going down things that we can use it for certain things, as tools for music, tools. Those things are getting really fascinating. I'm sure soon there's going to be a transcription tool that you can just feed it audio, and it may not pull out the frets and the accents and all the little slurs and stuff. But I think, why can't it strip a guitar track? Because we have stuff that can do that already and get it really close. Strip that, then take every single note and parse it out.
Coming.
Yeah, and then now you don't have to transcribe anything. You just have to figure out the fingerings.
Yeah.
And even the rhythms will be there because it can quantize and figure out. I mean, everything. Transcribing is going to be so much easier in 5 years, in 2 maybe.
No, it's all. And when the robots start, actually having minds, and you start seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger's, effigy show up, then it's time to get out. Time to get out. Anyway, so Ben was saying it was actually not an older one. It was a custom shop G&L. I believe it wasn't a Rampage, but it was like 3 pickups. That thing, it just was fantastic, man. It was just an unbelievable guitar. G&L, you know what? I never played a G&L that I liked until they went out of business.
And this wasn't like a used one, right? This was a modern,
no.
But it was beaten and battered, like it was relicked or whatever.
Yeah. No, it was a custom shop model.
Yeah.
It was Ken, the manager there, told me that it was custom shop. So yeah, no, that guitar was awesome.
Yep.
Let's see, just kind of, where were we here? So Anita was at the 3rd show. Then Ben, it's Men at Work, Toad the Wet Sprocket, an old punk band from Japan from the 80s with 3 ladies, pretty eclectic. Anita, so I agree with Ryan. We all miss Richie. Yeah, we miss Richie. Yep. That's the tour lineup, I think, until October. His roommate is the tech for Toad. That's cool. I don't know Alan. I didn't know Alan was playing with Men until I got to the venue. That's a cool surprise.
Yeah.
And it's conveniently lame. Yeah, it is conveniently lame. That's absolutely true.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a weird way, at least for me, I think sometimes having to struggle is going to be the best way to get you the brain power that you need to kind of earn, as opposed to just like going to the internet and getting it, and it just presents itself. Like I said, I mean, the hard facts are with anything, you know, unless you earn it and kind of work through it to get to that point where it's in you. It's just you're never going to retain it. B, it's never going to be believable. And C, you're not going to be able to explain it to somebody like the way, like the boss of my company said to me, he goes, the best sales rep, will be able to explain something in 8 seconds. Because if you can't explain it in 8 seconds, then you don't understand it, which is why, dude, you are a great teacher, because you explain everything in 8 seconds, man. Like I'm really like this. The lessons that you've been doing with this show lately have been really, really
Dude, I appreciate
solid,
it.
man. I want to get into another one. Let's do some more.
Yeah. So, and real quick, talking about that punk band stuff that Ben said. Funny enough, this is another thing I wanted to mention about transcribing. One thing I do all the time, and I was doing it last night. There's a new show called The Westies on MGM Plus.
I want to see that show.
It's good. It's really well made. It's
that's based on the Westies in New York, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Gang? Yeah. Dude, I read that book. It's awesome.
Oh, dude, it's so well done. I think there's 3 episodes. 4th one's coming out this Sunday. I think it's Sunday, maybe Friday.
Until it's all. Yeah, I want to watch that really bad.
And the interesting, it's got really good music. It's got some punk music in there. It's got a bunch of things going on. And there was and what I do is I'm always sitting on my couch with my guitar in hand, and I'm better at transcribing melodies and lead lines and solos than I am chords, especially chords voicings, but I'm getting a lot better at it. There was something I transcribed the other day, and I was like figuring out, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And even I forget, there was something that was a really popular tune that was a real easy chord progression that I had never played or whatever. But there was a punk tune. So I try and follow the bass lines of the chords, and the cool thing about this is they go so quick because it's only for a short scene, right? So this is happening. So once something picks my ear, I start trying to find that bass line real quick. I start trying to find the chords. By the time it plays, sometimes I'll have to rewind it once if it's something cool that I'm like, I got to learn that. And it's a quick bite. And I may not learn it perfectly, but I'll learn the gist of it. But there was a punk tune that played that it was so simple, dude. It was just this basically. And I couldn't believe I have never played this before. It sounds so stupid, but it had a rhythm similar to let me get on this pickup. Right, and I'm like, you know what? I've never played all on the same fret doing fifths or chords, going from the one string going up to the next string, coming down. And I'm like, why does that work? That's not, I'm like, I'm used to 1-4-5s doing whatever. And then I realized, wait a second, that is a 1-4-5, you idiot. That's literally your one chord, your B, to your E, and then up to your F sharp, right? But your F sharp's being played down here, but it's all on the 4th and 6th fret. And I had never played that sequence ever in my life. Like anytime I'm playing the 5th, I'm playing up here, or it was stupid. It was so stupid, but it was again one of those things I quickly was listening to, and I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, where's he going with that? And there's dialogue going over it, so it's kind of hard sometimes to get into the whole thing. But that is a great training your ear thing. You may miss a lot, but when you're watching TV and you can get a guitar in your hand, just try and pull out the melodies. If there's a commercial happening, try and pull it. When the phone from AT&T goes or whatever in the commercial, try and figure that AT&T melody out. All those little things, you may not get them right away, and then you can go look them up or transcribe them, slow them down, do all that stuff. But this is one of those tests. It's just keeping your ear crisp.
Working.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next Shane thing I just want to go on to really, and this one's going to be kind of quick. It's just a simple melody, but it's got so much character to it. Let me play that. And I don't even know if my guitar was on when I was doing that, so I apologize. If it wasn't, let me know. All right, here we go. Desktop. And again, this is Mr. Ed off of Shane's Dirty Power album. Okay, we're going to do the same test, Steve. We're going to... I love that face you make. Don't be disappointed, buddy. This is helping you. This is... So when you listen to this, what are the first few things you hear? Okay, we're going to play it. Well, I'll play the first section. Your audio's off right now? Your audio's off?
Play it again. Let me listen carefully.
Okay.
And I'm going to fail. And
no. So I'm going to go through just that very intro. What are you hearing happening here? Here you go.
Okay, hang on. Let me switch it over. Hang on.
Okay. Here we go. Let me. I'm just trying to get this first little chordal thing in your ear. One more time. Okay, what do you hear?
Hold on a second.
Yep, you're there.
Let me lower the volume on the back end of this. Hang on a second on the live part. Okay. So this, I believe, is just like a little, like a little.
Move the camera down. Let me see where you're searching. Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I mean I don't.
No. You're exactly where I want you to be. So you're hearing.
And then I heard like a little one of those little jobbers there.
Yep. What is that jobber? What's the jobber mean?
Where he's just doing like a trill.
Okay, so he's pulling off. Right. Exactly. So that's what's going on. You're hearing a chordal, you're hearing a partial chord, and you're hearing pull-offs. And what it actually is, it's basically this. It's a D chord, right? The top two notes are the second fret and the third fret of that D chord on the G and D B string, and then he's pulling off that D note to an open string. So it sounds. He hits it twice, and then he gets that to ring together, where you have that A note and the B note, right? And then he just goes up a whole step. Right? Let's hear it one more time. Okay, then the other thing, but it sounds really thick. So he may be doing it here, where he's doing the 7th fret. Let me do my main screen. Get my guitar there. He may, instead of doing it here to open strings, he might be doing it here on the 7th fret with the D and G string, and then pulling off there and getting the dissonance. And that dissonance in that chord is really cool, because you're playing the A and the B note, which is a whole step away, but you're playing those together. Right? The only more dissonant you can get is if you played an A and a B flat. Otherwise, you're playing an A and an A, right? So you're getting that dissonant. And then if he does that again, he pulls off from the 7 to 4 on the G string, back up to the double stop here, And then now he grabs that D shape up here on the 4th and 5th, right? So he has his fingers all in the same area. Could be doing it that way. I have a feeling he's doing it open because it'll play through the mix a little more, but it does sound really thick, so there's a good possibility he's playing it in that other area. But then the last thing that happens, what happens at the very end of that? Let me do my desktop audio. What's the last thing you hear when I stop this, right before I stop it? Here you go.
Hang on.
Okay. Ready?
Hang on.
There you go.
Okay.
Right before the melody happens. Here you go. One more time. What did you hear happen? Before the melody. Before the melody.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Nope, you're going into the melody. Did you hear this part though?
Oh, before.
Yep, right before the melody pings in. Let me play it one more time for you.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm sorry.
One more time. Okay, what was it? Did you hear anything? Steve, by the way, if anybody's watching this, if anybody's watching this, Steve's on a little bit of a delay because when we do this, the way we have it set up, he's got to watch the actual live feed on YouTube. Like we can talk to each other here, but the live feed he's got to actually watch to get that music audio.
Are you talking about the trill there? Or
that's it. Yep. Okay. That's it. So my point is, a lot of times people are hearing that chord into the melody, but they miss the low register when something like that happens. When I was talking about that one thing where I forget what lick it was, but he skipped strings and went down below to some other stuff, and I was like, oh wait, there's space there, and I slightly hear him doing. Last week we were talking about that. Slightly hear him doing like these 1 or 2 notes on low strings. And so sometimes the ear doesn't adjust to that, but yes, he's just doing, right? He's just trilling off the open string to the 2nd fret on the A string. So the whole thing is, right? Very simple. We'll play it one more time with the desktop audio. Okay, now the quick test I'm going to do is, we're not going to do this whole thing this way, but the next thing, something happens that is very distinct, that you should hear when the first 3 notes are happening. Okay, now here comes the, let me get past that one point.
Let me go back. Hang on a second.
Okay, here we go. I'll play this a few times. Just the first 3 or 4 notes, listen to. One more time. First 3 notes. Right before he does that da-da-da-da-da, it's da-da-da. Those first 3 notes, what's happening on those 3 notes that are making it sound so sweet? Do you hear it? Mr. Steve, do you hear it? Yeah. That's
the slides, right? Sliding into it.
Okay. Anything else? Not really?
Slight bend? No.
Oh, okay.
Slight bend and
Okay.
slide.
So let me do 50%. And again, this is where if you're hearing something but you're not sure what it is, this is the first stage of it. Like at first, when you're transcribing, things go by so quick. So I usually, when I first transcribed, I didn't do anything at 100%. There were a few things that I could figure out, but everything was at 80% or below. And then if I really had to dive in, it was, man, I'd get down to 20, 15%. I mean, it was so slow. And here's this tune at 15%. Listen to how sluggish this is, especially when you have a sluggish tune like this. This is slow. And now, when you have it that slow, you can almost not hear what I'm about to show you. So you got to find that in 50%, you'll hear it much better. So here's 50%, and you'll hear that third note. Something's going on with that third note. One more time. And here's the third note by itself. Okay, and I'll just tell you what it is. It's an open string. It's a unison note happening. So it's like that Stevie Ray. It's not a unison note.
A vibrato?
Nope. It's two notes ringing together. So
son of a bitch.
instead of this happening and then sliding up just to that note, he's got both that. He's sliding from the E to the F sharp, but he also has the E ringing. And isn't that similar to what he did before, where he had two notes that are a half step away, or a whole step away, right? Before he was doing... When he's doing that, he actually has the A note to the B note, right? So you have a whole step ringing together. You have the A to B. Well, here now he has the F to E ringing together. F sharp to E. So now he has notes that are a whole step away, giving dissonance. So in this whole intro, with the chords and with that melody, there's a little bit of dissonance going on. If you just play, you can play it 3rd fret on the B string, 3rd, 5th to 7. If you just play that, okay, that sounds fine. But once you hit that E note and slide up to F sharp, and when you tack that E note, you actually play the open string, you actually get not just the dissonance of those two notes, but the first note is a unison note, and you can hear those two notes as separate notes because sometimes your string's slightly out of tune. If you're pressing the string a little harder, it's slightly out of tune. That fretted note. Also, even if you're playing them perfectly, once you start sliding, you start getting the separation of those notes. So now you have... So if you do it slow, it's really dissonant into sort of better. And it's quick, but you still feel that. Right? And it just sounds meteor. It's just a meteor note at that point, right?
Wow.
So those are the little things that, and again, I'm not trying to test you like really like.
No, this is, listen, this is the only way I'm really going to learn this is if I get drilled on it and it's.
But it's those little really nuances. Like, you'll hear something simple and you go, well, that sounds simple, but there's something to it that's not clean or not exactly, and then you figure out, well, it's a little bend or it's a unison note or it's the way that it's being played, and those are the little things that really make, I mean, that's a simple, melodies can't get any simpler. You're playing 3 notes, but it gets cool, and then it gets even cooler after he does, let me get to the 100% again, and we'll go back just a little, and we'll get this melody going. Here we go. All right, let me play this real quick. Okay, and the last thing I'll test you on is in this whole sequence, before he repeats the melody, what is going on with the contour and shape of this lick and anything else that might stick out as a paragraph of music, if that makes sense. You'll understand when I actually talk about this. But listen to the whole little melody. Okay, so one more time we'll play that. I'm actually trying to see. You're watching this on the live video, right? Everything's working. I totally forgot to actually go do that. But everything's working fine on the YouTube live video? On YouTube?
I'm hearing it on YouTube. Yeah. So I'm kind of going between like when you stop, the music stops, I come back to you live.
Okay, I just want to make sure everything was going. So let me play that one more time. And then, and again, I'm looking for information on the whole thing. Like, what can you grab without really transcribing this as contour, shape, where the whole thing's going, if there's anything going on that sticks out that you're like, okay, that, okay? And it's real simple. It's nothing complicated. Here we go. Happened. Sorry, paused for a second. Okay, did anything stand out to you? Senor Steve.
Well, I mean, on that, I heard that, like, the slide bends.
Okay, so you hear some slides going on for sure. What's the contour and shape of this whole thing? It's so it's starting somewhere and going somewhere else.
So that is probably not going to be it's probably going to take longer than we have.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so what I get out of this is that it's starting the melody up somewhere, and then it's sliding down somewhere, and then it's continuing to slide down, right? So again, it's a thing that's moving downward in motion, right?
Okay. And so you mean it would be descending?
It's descending, right? It's not staying in one part of the fretboard. It's not ascending for sure, and it's going down. It's doing a riff, then it goes down, and in fact, I'll talk over this. I don't know. Let me know if this actual explanation works while it's happening.
Definitely, please do.
Okay, so here we go. You ready? Here we go. So the melody starts here. Goes down a little. Goes down a little more. And it's repeating the melody in a certain way. And then it goes back up and does the melody, but he does it different this time, right? So now if you hear those sections where it goes down a little, then down a little, and when it goes down that second time, it repeats that beginning melody just a little bit. Here we go. Da-da-da-da, the da-da-da-da-da, right? He does that again on a lower register, but it's not exactly the same. You're saying something, Steve? You get it? Does that make sense to you? Yep.
Yeah, that's the way you're breaking that down. When I hear it, and you're like it just makes me laugh that I actually have. Just makes me laugh that I'm like,
No, but
could never do that.
so I think,
did
yeah,
this.
I have a feeling you've just never thought of it in this way, right? You think of it as
No, I've
notes and
never-
licks and lines.
Never ever thought of
Right.
that. Like,
So the
this is
contour and shape.
it's like blowing my mind. And I mean, like, for anybody watching, I never learned like this. It was just always putting shit together and just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. But the way that you're showing me this is like almost kind of it's like completely eye opening.
Well,
It really
and
is.
somebody showed me this. I mean, my eyes weren't open like this until somebody showed me this too. Again, and it might have even been like a Paul Gilbert kind of thing where he was describing how things there's things don't just work because they work. There's things like this method that's going on is their repetition is going on that you're not even recognizing, right? But it's done in such a subtle way. And also there's contour and shape to everything. I think Vinnie Moore might have been talk about this years ago or whatever, but there's always things happening that are allowing our basic mind, whether you know music or you don't, to be able to grab it and relate to it. And a lot of that has to do with contour and shape. It has to do with repetition all the time, right? If you hear something and hear it over, and I mean, it's the famous thing, again, not to get political, but Trump always says, you say something over and over again and people start believing it, right? If you hear something over and over again, not just the same song over and over again, but if you actually hear the same idea in a different way, especially if it's not exact, you won't hear that as the same exact idea, but it'll feel so comfortable because you just heard something that, again, if it's like a conversation, I lose people because I talk a lot, and I lose people because I jump from subject to subject because my mind's just going so quick. I have a crazy mind. If you knew what was going on in here, you'd kill yourself. But I'm always thinking of one thing, and I'm talking about something, and I'm thinking of another thing. Oh, I got to talk about that. I got to do that or whatever. And the subjects leapfrog. Yes, I know. And I apologize. I'm fully aware of this. But when you really get drawn in by amazing speakers, it's usually because they've got a rhythm, they've got contour to their speech, and everything not only is going linearly, but it's always returning back to an idea. There's always structure and things going on. Well, music is the same way. So let me just get into this lick real quick. I'll just break it down note for note really, really quickly. So even there's a repeat, right? So the first thing that happens is this. You have right? Let me lower my guitar a little bit. Right, even there, that little repeat of the da-da-da, da-da-da. So you have that little hammer on, hammer off. And the slide up and slide. So this one slides up and slides down from the 7th fret to the 9th fret back to the 7th fret on the G string. So it starts out one way you can play it. I'm not sure if this is how he does it. You could play the 7th fret on the G string, 5th fret with your first finger on the B string and slide up with your first finger, and at the same time you're ringing that open string. Right? So you have... Then you're going to skip strings and go down to this, the 9th fret and the 7th fret and hammer on, hammer off, and hammer, or pull off and hammer on. And then go back to the G string and slide up 7 to 9. So the whole thing is... And then you're going to slide back down. So 7, 9, slide up. 9, 7, slide back down. Then what does he do? He repeats that hammer on, hammer off slide thing. So now he goes down, skips a string to 9, 7, 9 on the A string. And then he slides up here from the 4 to the 6 on the G string. So, but then he takes a minute to slide off. So it's the same idea, hammer on, pull off, hammer on, slide, and all that. but then he skips strings and does it again in a different position or with different notes, but he holds a note. So listen to the holding of that note. But really, you're just, right? It's the same thing as doing, what do you have? Right? That would be the same phrase. And then do it again. Same exact phrase, but the second time he holds that note and then slides. So you have... Right? Just that little delay makes it not sound like a repeating line one after another. So Anita says goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend. Anita, thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Miss you.
Thanks,
and
Anita.
We'll talk again soon. So here's, and again, so now you realize this melody or line isn't really that complex. It's just got some cool little sauce to it, and it is repeating itself a lot. So now it repeats.
So,
go ahead.
No, the question that I have when you're figuring these things out is that the contour and the, or the pattern and everything, how paramount is that to the transcription part of it, to like figuring it out? Like, does that help you guide you into like, to the actual line? Because when I'm figuring this stuff out now, I'm literally like, I'm seeing it or I'm hearing it and I'm going note by note. So you're listening to the whole phrase, and then that's determining, because then you could say, okay, cool, I'm going to be going descending. It's a descending phrase.
That's part of it. So I could see where it's about to go. In my mind, I already, even though I don't know the idea perfectly, I have a general idea of the scope of things, right? So I know what I'm in for. I know there's going to be some repeating notes. I know. Now, the other thing that happens in this transcription, which this is where I would start, I don't always start with what I'm about to say, and if I were to transcribe it, just say I transcribed it the way we just talked about. I figured out, okay, here it is. I'm just guessing where the fingers are. Maybe it's played down here. I don't know. But right now I'm picking this general area because the timbre, like Ryan was saying, the timbre of the notes. But at this point, I'm only like, 10, 12 notes into it. But what I'm picking up on right now, and I'm wondering if you did, is have you picked up on what scale it's using, what key it's in? No. Okay, so this is where I start figuring this out, and it's only because of patterns. So if you look at this, right, I'm like, and I hear that note specifically, I really hear, but I'm hearing, B pentatonic, right? And literally you're starting on this note, which is your minor third, and you're going up to this note, which is your fourth, and you're sliding into your fifth. Here's your B minor, right? And here's your B minor pentatonic. Let me get to my screen real quick. And here's your B minor pentatonic screen, right? You're on the 7th fret, and you're just doing your pentatonic scale. I'm sorry. And so the notes are coming all in this pattern generally, with the exception of when you slide from that note to this note, right? So you can do, instead of doing, you can do, that's pentatonic. 7, 9, 7. Right? But you hear a slide. And then you're just doing that root to flat 7. And you're going from the 4th to the minor 3rd. Then you're going down to the 5th to the 4th. And that's the cool note he stalls on. And that's, I think, why he chooses to stall on that instead of going. Because now you're getting all your, pentatonic has your root, your minor 3rd, your 4th, your 5th, your flat 7, back to your root. Those are your notes. This is getting your 9, which is a cool little jazzy tone, right? So now when you do that lick, You get that ninth interval. And then it relieves itself by going back to the ninth over the B. I mean the root over the B, right? You have your 9 and then resolve. So it's kind of hanging on something to get to another thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
So now,
oh,
go ahead.
There's so many questions that I have.
Okay, give me a couple, and we'll get back into this.
Yeah.
Give me a couple.
All right. And so with all of that, I guess kind of going back to this whole contour concept too, and I apologize for anybody that's kind of watching this. And,
no apologies in this class ever.
Like, I can't believe you don't know this. But the contour.
Funny enough that this is the funny thing. If anybody's out there, again, we all have weaknesses, and it's only because we don't do them, right? It doesn't mean most of us can do any of this stuff. Like, you see all these shredders on YouTube, right? These young kids, they're 12 years old shredding, and it's because they put their focus on that, right? Now, they're not really great musicians because they haven't had time to develop and become great musicians, and it takes time to just learn the language, right? But if you put enough focus in anything, there's nothing you can't do. So the only reason you're saying, I'm sorry about this, because what I was going to say is, before we started this podcast, every time we go live, I record a little bit just to make sure things are in sync or as close as can be at the moment. The audio's working, my guitar's working, his audio's working, and then I have to rewatch it. Well, what I didn't tell Steve is, while he was recording, I told him to plug in his amp so that I could hear his amp a little bit. And I did that for a reason, because I want to do one little test before we leave. There is one little thing I want to do, which will be fun. But I also, last week when he was playing, when he was setting that whole thing up, he was ripping these lines, and I was like, dude, you are such a good friggin' player. Like, it was so good and tasty, and it was like these legato-y fast lines that were reminiscent of Rush Paris and blah, blah, blah. And he's just got this thing that he does, a legato to moving up and then picking, and it's so smooth and great. And so this week, I was like, I'm going to push the record without him knowing, while he's putting his amp together and doing this. And I was doing this. I was tuning my guitar. But the whole time I was recording, because and he played some things. I'm like, I'm going to transcribe that. I'm going to steal that from him. So when he says, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize or whatever, it's only because this is something that he's not really familiar with. But Steve's a monster.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think, like, I'm confident enough in my ability that, like, this is the one thing that I know, and I've been telling you this since we reconnected, that my ear is my worst asset in terms of my playing. And so all of this is like a guitar lesson. So there's so many things, and I'm going to go back and watch this. This is like I'm getting a free guitar lesson, and I'd have to send you $100 check tomorrow. But
by the way, if anybody wants guitar lessons, I do private lessons online.
Here you go. You're watching a private. Yeah, you're watching a private.
And you're getting one free here too.
Yeah. But so this contour thing, like, let's just say we're using giant steps. Okay, right. That first opening phrase. That.
Do you have your amp on?
Oh yeah. I don't have my amp on, so let me just.
No. Put your amp on. Take a second to put your amp on.
All right,
because we're gonna have to get to it.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
And I'll talk. So Anders is here. Anders, yeah, I know. I literally forgot that I didn't go to Facebook and I didn't put the link up. So welcome back, Anders. I see you've been partying and drinking a little bit. I'm appreciative of that. And while Steve's gone, let's get into some drinking, because it's been 2 weeks and I haven't really mentioned anything. I got some more. Anders isn't probably going to dig this. He's a beer guy, more of a beer guy or whatever. But I have new liqueurs that I cannot wait to use this weekend. And one of them is this guy. It's Ferretti chocolate biscotti, the Italian thing. This stuff is, I saw this in a magazine, and somebody was saying you can put it in Manhattans, or you could put it in even Negronis. It just gives you a little bit of that extra. It's kind of probably something that'll work great with Christmas, with what do you call it, Kahlua or Bailey's or something like that. I mean, it literally. I took a little sip of it and smelled it, and it's literally like you're eating a cookie, a biscotti cookie with chocolate covering on it. It is effing genius. And then I got one other thing. This was the one that got me to the liquor store to find it. So this is creme de noyau or something. I think it's called noyau, and it is like an apricot. What's the other? Starts with an M, but it's like a cookie also. It's not super sweet, but it's got this thing, and if you put it in, they make this pink, it's an old 50s drink, I think. It's called the Pink Squirrel, and it uses heavy cream, this, and white creme de cacao, and it tastes like spumoni, which is my favorite. Every Christmas, I'm dying to get spumoni ice cream. It's just so good, such a good flavor. So those are my liquors of the weekend. So I will see you next week, hopefully hungover. Anyway, and Anders says he said biscotti. Biscotti. I don't know. How do you say it? It's biscotti, biscotti? I don't know.
I say biscotti.
I do. I used to too, but I don't know. Listen.
I don't know.
I'm drinking a White Claw right now. Listen, that's what I mean. Anders is just straight to it. It's either beer or something out of a can. I like it. We've missed you the last few weeks, Anders, though. Steve does win, I think. Oh, with the biscotti? Yeah, I know. All right, listen, I'm a moron. Hey, we're talking about Shane this week. We're doing this lick stuff or whatever. We got to get Anders. Anders is an amazing guitar player. Anybody watching? He went to MI and he was good friends with Shane back in the day. He did a clinic at AIM, and monster guitar player. I want to hear him play. There's a couple clips next week. That's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to embarrass you, Anders. Not embarrass. There's a clip that Lawler sent me of you just jam. This is years and years ago, because I think he went to one of your gigs, and he's like, oh, here's a short clip of Anders, and you played this really cool, chromatically Henderson-y kind of line, and I remember transcribing it immediately. I was like, oh my God, that is so cool, and yeah, so we're gonna get him on just to at least talk about why he's not playing anymore, and yeah, just so many questions about GIT. I have so many questions. I'm always excited to see you, man. Okay, Steve, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
So just real quick. So we're talking about
and move the camera down a little so we could see your guitar.
Let's see. How's that?
Yep, good.
The concepts, of the descending. So for giant steps, right? If we said that. That's a descending, right? Like that would be a descending line because everything is going
until the very end where it ascends one note. Yep. So it's da 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 da. Then it's going ascending up, right? So the contour is da 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 da.
So what would that overall be? That whole phrase? Would you say that that's descending, or is it just that it goes down and then up?
Yeah. Again, it doesn't never have to really get into that much detail. It's descending. You're going da 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 da, right? Before that last note, everything is just descending.
Okay.
And the only reason that any of this is important is because it's getting you an idea of like you're almost transcribing in your head. You're understanding where everything's going. When you do your legato lines and I say you sweep up to those high notes, right? A lot of those things, there's something that Rush Paris used to always do, that he'd do these lines, these picking lines, and then he'd slide up and then he'd do like an arpeggio down or something. And it was but it wasn't like a big arpeggio. It was just a couple notes of an arpeggio. But he'd be legatoing up and the contours going up. And then it's almost like climbing up a slide and then sliding down it.
So I think like more or less, I think I subconsciously was doing that, in without really like being cognizant of it, because that so we were talking about this Shane lick from one of his videos, and it was basically, hang on a second. Something like that.
Okay.
And literally like, once I started putting the first phrase together, the first phrase was like...
Raise your guitar up a little or bring your camera down a little. There you
go. So that was the first part. That's descending. Then he goes, that's ascending.
I'd say
Right?
that's just staying in one position, circling around.
Okay, so that's okay.
But the whole
Now,
yep, go ahead, one more. Then again, that's staying in there. But the whole phrase is descending, because you're starting
right?
up here, you're going to a midsection, you're kind of staying there, then you go down to a lower section. So the whole thing as a paragraph, if you would do that, right? These are all individual sentences. The very first sentence is right? Staying here?
Yeah.
Right? And then you go down there. So that's almost like 3 different sentences, individual notes being the words. This is the Scott Henderson way of teaching. The notes are the words, the lines are the sentences, and the overall idea you're getting across is a paragraph, right?
So now when you're transcribing, okay, like if it's just like a line, and so the other one that was in there was
Okay.
Okay, so you're basically looking at it as like a whole paragraph, and then each like contour is a sentence. Is that the right way to kind of break it down?
No. So again, the first one that you actually did, we'll go to my screen real quick. The first one that you actually did was right. That's sentence 1, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever happened next is the second one. Then that's the third one, right? And they're all similar. They're all staying within 3 or 4 notes, moving around. Right? It's all the similar stuff, but it's each sentence is that's why I say, so the words are, this is a word, right? But you're using it, putting those words together for a sentence. Now you go to the next sentence where here's a word. How do you arrange those words? Right? Now you go, well, I want to keep that. I want to keep the same idea because it's the same paragraph. I want to. Right? Now I'm going to go into something totally different. Right? Now that's a totally different. Now that's a new paragraph. You just started a whole new thing.
But when you're doing that, you're just kind of like looking at it from line to line, like sentence to sentence.
Again, this is just for me to put all this stuff together in my head when I'm not sitting at the computer.
I'm just looking at it like in curating like that the information and kind of like the way you're kind of grasping it, because for me, again, I've never looked at it like that. I've just either done it subconsciously and it's taken me like days where I'm not like looking at it and going, okay, is this line descending or is this kind of just staying in here? But when you're looking at it like as, I guess, like as a whole like section. You're taking a section and then you're taking it and breaking it down into like little fragments of sentences, and then you're kind of combining that whole thing back into the paragraph.
Yes, and this isn't necessary for transcribing. This is what I'm saying is, like, literally you can not know or think about any of this. You can just literally take the music and slow it down and do note by note, put it in a measure, move on to the next measure.
But you're saying though, like that's going to help you, like, because you're going to hear the line and you're going to be like, all right, cool. Like it's just giving you the intel that the line is kind of going one way or the other.
Just
Anders
like
is lost. So let me just explain.
Okay, well, hold on. We'll get to Anders in 1 second. The whole, like the very first lick that we did, the Shane lick.
Yes.
The whole point was chromatic at first, moving in a contour that's going down, and then it's pivoting off of notes. Then it moves down more and it pivots off notes again. So already I know what this lick is. I already know, I just know the general shape of it. Now, if I played just that, right? If I just literally, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus because I'm a shitty guitar player, but if I literally just did that, I'm going to play, say we play in the key of, we're in B, right? And I do chromatic stuff. We'll do that line. That's little chromatic. Right? And then I did some pivoting notes, right? Now I'm doing I'm pivoting off of two different things, right? Oh, I don't have my guitar on. I'm sorry. So here's we can do any chromatic. I'll do that chromatic line. Right? That's chromatic. It's got a little chromatic movement to it. Now I'm doing some pivoting note, right? So Shane's lick that he did, I can use, instead of using the notes that we pulled out of it, I can use the idea. It starts with some chromatic stuff, and the chromatic stuff doesn't have to be exactly what he did. Pivoting there, right? Right. I don't have to do, okay, well, if I'm going to do a chromatic lick, I'm going to do, and then some pivoting off of something, or the chromatic pivoting he was doing. Right? I could think of it, all I'm doing now is taking the contour and shape of what's going on as the idea of what I want to do.
It's the framework. Okay.
Right, exactly. So that's the importance of being able to hear these things, because to me, that was so cool. He did a chromatic line into this pivot thing, and then he moved down and did another pivot thing. I'm like, oh, that's, maybe I'll do a chromatic thing into a pivot thing, into a chromatic thing, into another chromatic thing.
Okay. Now I got another question. And before I ask it, so Anders, basically what David is doing is helping me better understand his process for transcribing.
Oh, no. He's on our same page. I think you read that wrong.
Yeah.
He said, sorry, maybe we're not talking about the same, because he was talking about a giant steps thing, because I want to get back to that.
But I use that, so I was going to say, I was using that as an example for like just showing that is a descending phrase, and just kind of try, because this is all, believe it or not, this is all foreign to me. So
right. But what he said, what he followed up, it was two separate things. The second thing he said is what you're talking about now, right now, is that it's all about. He meant that's what it's all about. He's trying to say the same thing, because I know Anders has that Henderson kind of style of schooled knowledge, where it's all about, I'm telling you, that one video that Henderson did where he did an instruction where everything's a word. The words are your melodic minor scale. That's your words, right? You're in those are the words you're going to be using. You're going to use Phrygian dominant. You're going to use pentatonic, whatever it is. Those are your words, those individual notes that make up that. Now, when you put some ideas together, that's your sentence, right? And now if you just do pentatonic and you just literally go... boring as shit. Because you're just using the words. You're just spitting words out. You're not doing anything. Yeah. Now, if you form a sentence and you go... That's a sentence. That's a complete sentence. It has a beginning, middle, and end kind of thing. Now, I'm going to repeat that sentence. Now I just did a similar thing. I bent into a note, and then I did a similar line that had similar amount of words, kind of. You kind of get the connection, right? And then...
Yeah.
And then you keep doing things like that. Maybe you break off a little bit. Maybe you do... Shane does... Right? Those are the similar things. Your sentence, using the similar words. And then now you break into something else, and now you've got a complete paragraph. You've got similar ideas of words that are related to one another. Because when you read a book, if you have just words with no punctuation or no structure or meaning to that whole paragraph. Dickens, if anybody's into reading, I am a huge Dickens and Twain fan, and Dickens especially writes a paragraph where it's fascinating. Everything from the beginning, middle, and end, every time you get to the end of a paragraph, you go, holy shit. The whole first beginning of the paragraph, I was a little confused where it was going or what it was saying exactly. And then you get to the end and go, that makes sense. And then you go back to that and read it again, and it just all... Then the next paragraph is something similar but totally different. And there's a new modern writer, semi-modern, Michael Chauban, that I love. He wrote a book called The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. Amazing. I had a writer at one of the theme park design places that I worked at, and I asked him, dude, I love Dickens, I love Twain. Is there any modern day writers? And he said, Michael Chabon. And it is. And then I looked up online. I asked ChatGPT now, years later, as I'm rereading the book for the 8th time. I said, is there anything else he wrote? And it's very Dickens-like, right? And it said the same thing. Yes, the structure, the flow of the way things work.
Okay.
It's amazing. Okay, so we got some more Anders stuff. What it's all about. Sorry, you're not shitty. Oh, thanks for that, man. Yeah, but we all say the same thing. Anders is the last person that could think he's a shitty player, and I know sometimes I think even in that first clinic he did, he felt a little uncomfortable or whatever. But I'm telling you, Anders is, yeah. When he came and did that AIM clinic, monster.
The thing too is that, you know, if you don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations, I don't think you grow. You know what I mean? Like the only, like, you know, whatever that is. I mean, like Anders, you know, you said that he wasn't comfortable in doing that, but, you know, once you settled in and once you did it, like you get the experience. But it's true. I mean, yeah, the only way you really grow as a person is to really put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And it sucks, but that's the only way you're gonna like get better. You know, because you could just do what I did and hide.
Right.
And you'll just play the same 25 Russ Parrish licks that you have been for 30 years.
Oh, I love it's funny, Anders. So this is the thing that I'm dying to talk to him about too, because I see this stuff in a very basic way. Like my brain, I can't open up, like Holdsworth sees the whole guitar as one thing, right? Even tunes, when I'm looking at jazz tunes and I'm trying to work, man, I have a hard time playing through chord changes because I'm really thinking, okay, here comes this chord, I got to get to this. Okay, here comes this. Even if these 3 chords work together as a 2-5-1 and I can play a 2-5-1 structured lick over it or whatever, I'm always playing catch up in all this stuff. I think Anders has a larger understanding of how all this works together, because when I see him playing over tunes, he was doing stuff that I was just like, dude, how do you think that fast? It's almost like the Oz Noy thing that I was talking about earlier. Like, I don't understand how he could play, I don't know, 90 notes in a 16th note thing where he's just going off. But there's, even though I'm not a huge fan of some of that, like, but I see all the structure. Here's a pivot note thing. Here's a chromatic thing. Here's a total 2-5-1 jazz line. Here's another jazz line. Here's a bebop thing. Here's a, like, but he's from note 1 to 90. I'd be going, oh, this is a cool lick, and then, okay, I fucked up. Okay, here's another lick. Everything would have breaking points to it. Where these guys, and Anders, I would see him play all these notes in succession, and I'd be like, dude, how can you get those ideas all to gel together? I mean, there had to be a point where he worked on that, and I assume it was at a slower pace, like working with a metronome, trying to just go all 16th notes and never stopping your thought, but putting cool ideas in there, I think, because I've never been able to do it. I cannot do consecutive. My thing are bluesy little licks or little licks that have a start, middle, and end, and then I get into something else.
I mean, I think something suffers at the price of something else always. I mean, and like, because I don't think that's why when you see like just freaks that can do anything, you're just like, man, how can you do all of that? You know, how can you do all of that? And I mean, like, that's the thing. And I always, when I see somebody like, you know, like, first off, like, I know how great of a player Anders is as well. And I sit, you know, and I see guys like that, or, you know, guys like Shane, or, you know, like all those big cats. And you sit there and you go like, yeah, you know, they'll sit there and say they can't do this stuff, but I think, you know what Anders said, playing in his uncle's quintet. I think playing, gigging and
oh, wow,
I definitely think there's something to that. I do absolutely think that there is something, you know, because you can practice so much, but when you play, I do believe that, because when I was gigging, I feel like I probably wasn't as smart of a player as I am now, but I feel like I was a much better guitar player in terms of being able to just kind of be cohesive.
right?
Yeah, I think that's you know, and that's one of the things too, where I sit there and I go like, I should be playing. I should be gigging, man.
Well, and that's the thing too. I have a feeling. So the way I work, especially with transcribing, I'm transcribing these ideas, and every day it's that ADD thing. I hear a new idea and I'm like, oh, I got to learn that. I got to learn that. And I never put these things in practice. But it's not just putting them in practice, because sometimes I will sit with a backing track or something, because I don't go out and gig or whatever. Too old for that shit right now. But I actually, here's my ADD twisting. Once I said that, I go, I would actually like doing that. I want to get out and play and just whatever.
I do too. I do too, but then I think about everything else.
Exactly. Everything that goes in. I'm like, I'm just going to open up my liqueurs and drink. So I, even when I practice these lines and transcribe them, sometimes I'll go back over a backing track and I'll try and incorporate them a little or whatever. But I've never just tried to do really, I don't know why, like play 16th note ideas throughout a whole, like giant steps or something, and just keep doing it and keep going until the ideas aren't pausing in between. And I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that would help, or if it's literally just jamming over it. So I have a feeling Anders, he says he puts so much work into it. I played blues bands every night. Yeah, you're going to get good at blues, of course. But if you play but the thing is that non-thinking conscious stream of going and going and going without messing up and having cool ideas connected from one to another. And it's not something you practice or rehearse. You're just so comfortable with your fretboard that you're just playing, and then you're playing a pattern, then you play another pattern, then you repeat the pattern and whatever.
But is it just like having a conversation though, really?
It is. Maybe I'm just shitty at conversations.
Well, I mean, you talk, you read, so you get better. You go to the dictionary if you don't understand a word, so you practice your chops there and getting better, and you're communicating.
Right.
It's probably just something this like the equivalent of that.
Yep. Well, Anders, if you have any things that I can work on this weekend, like how do I get conscious streams of just notes going for over chord changes and feeling comfortable enough to just walk through them, even at a half speed or whatever, but to just be able to have ideas. Like even when I saw Shane that one time, the one thing we transcribed the other day, when he did that little line where he goes, right? Really simple. He gets into that little pivoting note thing or whatever, but the whole first half of that is just a descending scale. Right? I would never play a line like that because I'm not comfortable playing, what is that, 27 notes, whatever it is, just in a row. I'm always playing licks. And to do that pattern, then doing an ascending thing, and all of that not being broken up, and it's just one conscious thought. I'm going to do this scale, it's going to get me down here, then I'm going to do this little pattern, and it's just so smooth and seamless. I don't know how that actually happens. Shane's playing was always very tasty to me, even in school. I remember he had a lot of shit together. Yeah. He's a monster, dude. He said, you said it right there. You have to be comfortable. You can't worry about where the notes are. You have to know that shit and completely second nature. I guess maybe it just reaffirms that I don't know my fretboard nearly as well as I need to. I mean, yeah, I don't know what it is. So anyway, let's
this is all getting terribly depressing.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to real quick. Let's finish this lick up. This Shane lick. Here we go. So, and again, we're just. So when I said it was over B, at that point, it sounds like it's over an F chord, right? Because he lands on this note to get to the root. So you have, let's see. My screen. I'm not going to get into total note for note because we're already 2.5 hours and we're going to get out of here soon. So, right? He gets into that little thing where it's just pivoting again from the 4th fret to the 2nd fret, back and forth. Then he goes up to the 2nd fret on the G string and back down to that F sharp note there. So you have... Now, the one thing he might be doing is he might be doing all that here. Instead of doing this, he might be doing it here. Staying in this position here, right? So you have, instead of, and then when he goes down there, he goes here instead. So you can play, again, that whole position thing. Try and figure out what works best for you, what you like best. But the big part I want to get into is when he repeats this phrase. There's more to this phrase, but it's just kind of muddling around notes, repeating phrases like we talked about. But I really just want to get to that second part where he just pulls this out. And Anders, there's one thing. I think it was Anders that did this, and I'll show this little quick lick that he did that had so much dissonance, but it was so cool. And I remember this from back in the day. This is one of the things that stood out. But here's the... Right there, that silly little thing that starts the phrase over again and repeats itself. He just does, instead of going back to that 3-note phrase, he ends up doing, so he ends up sliding up here from the 7th to 9th and bending up to that note that he normally landed on before. So before he went, and here he goes, right? And you get that cool little bend. But then instead of going to this note again to get that solid note, right? He does a double stop, which pulls your ear in such a cool way. It's the first one is you're getting dissonant with 2 notes, right? Well, now you're going to get dissonance with a bend and a double stop. Then he repeats the phrase. And to me, that just sounds so cool because, again, that's how you get a phrase that you repeat over, but it doesn't sound exactly the same because nothing's more boring than doing the same thing over and over. Put a bend in there, put a slide in there, put something, or make it sound more aggressive. Marty Friedman and all those guys would do all these kind of things where, right, they might play it like instead of going, they might go, right? They'll go a half step below and they'll get that weird out to in bend to get that tension going. If anybody watched our boy Brett Papa, I haven't talked to him in a very long time. We did some videos together a long time ago. Great YouTuber. He had Dweezil Zap on, and Dweezil was talking about drunken pentatonics, he calls them. And this is just a thought that you can think of to come up with your own little ideas. And it's basically, say we're in the key of B and we're playing B minor pentatonic. But then he would go a half step down from any note at any time and bend up a half step. And I haven't even tried this. I just saw it or whatever, so I'm going to suck. But it's literally... And basically you're just going a half step below. Right, you're hitting a note a half step below a note and bending into the note that's in the key. And you don't have to do a lot of it. You could just do a little. And it almost sounds like Jeff Beck. It almost sounds like you're using a bar a little bit. But all these things are creative ways to do a similar idea in a
not repeat yourself or be interesting.
Exactly.
Just kind of like keep the listener's ear.
Yep.
And especially if your melody is a simple melody, then you give yourself more kind of tools to just kind of not have it be so repetitious. So that's really like producing. You're really kind of producing a line.
Just like, so this Shane line, again, this melody can't get any easier. It's really simple. It's all pentatonic, and it's really, but how do you get that to sound good? Well, double it up. Get that dissonance in there. Right? Get a little bend in there. So the Anders thing that he did, and I think I could swear this was Anders. He did this thing where he did a hammer over hammer. So he would tap, he would hold the note, he'd bend a note, right? Say we're in the key of A. And I don't even know, I won't even bend the right notes. Let me see. You know, and you get all on the same string. You're getting this wishy-washy of notes coming up, and then you get to the screamy note. And I just remember either he or Shane or somebody played that, and I was like, what the hell is that, dude?
Right.
Oh, good.
What do we got here? We got another, with all due respect, I'm not sure that'll be playing,
I know it was when you guys were playing, when you did the clinic. Somebody did that. You or Shane, I don't know.
That's me, bud. That's what
okay. I know he did a lot of whammy bar things, like harmonics and whammy bar stuff. I remember that. Shane's playing has always been tasteful to me, even at school. I remember a lot of shit together. Yeah. With all okay. Dude, so let's, Anders, please, you got my number. Text me. I want to know when you and I can talk. I just want to at least have a phone conversation with you, and then set up something to where, you know, I have so many questions. I'm so curious, man. But anyway, I think we're at a good spot.
Dude, I had a great lesson. Let's put it that way. So, I definitely think, you know, these last couple of weeks have been fun for me. I hope the people have been watching that have been picking up stuff, because again, when Dave and I were talking about what do we want to do, I think we wanted to be a little bit more interactive with everybody watching. And I think in order to do that, I had to be the guinea pig and kind of put myself into a position of like, hey, what can I do to kind of like, you know, something that I'm really bad at. And so that way people that are watching it that may be scared or intimidated or maybe better can kind of pick something up. So I feel like the last couple of weeks have been a lot of fun. And I feel like the engagement in the last couple of weeks with everybody has been picking up a little bit. So, and honestly, we do this for ourselves, but David, thank you so very much, man. I'll send you that check tomorrow.
Just find some of those records that I cannot find out here for $1.
I'll get you. Yeah,
I need that. I need those Van Halen box sets.
I know. Well, I think she's got one of them. So
really?
I don't know yet. I think she's got one of the live ones. I got to talk to her.
Oh, wow.
So we're going out tomorrow for a drive. It's dude, and finally. And Anders can attest, man. The weather here is like
tornadoes have passed.
Tornadoes have passed. The storms have passed. The smoke has, the firestorms have passed. And now we're in like this like beautiful 75-degree weather pattern for like the next week. So I think tomorrow my wife and I are going to go down the shore for the day and, do some like picking flowers, and then we're going to go to the beach.
Where do you go? Seaside, Point Pleasant?
I think we're going to be closer to like Point Pleasant. So, we're going to probably do that. And if we can't find a spot to park, then we'll drive to another less popular beach. But I think we're going to be out all day tomorrow and enjoy like a really nice summer day. Right. So that'll, in a way, I always be like, I'll get home and be like, man, I didn't play guitar today. And then my wife will be like, shut up, you play guitar every day. So, so we're going to do that. What do you got planned for tomorrow?
I'm trying this. I'm going to try this pink squirrel drink tonight as we close out. I've been making pickled.
And you're going to be sleeping until 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna make these. I've been making pickled onions and all this stuff, using different things. I used like white wine vinegar or using distilled vinegar, but keeping the recipe generally the same with garlic and some peppercorn and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but then I did one the other night where I put in a little liqueur 43, which is a vanilla. It's got 43 herbs and spices. It's a Mexican kind of thing. They use it in a lot of drinks. And everything you put it in, whether it's tequila, bourbon, whiskey, it brings something else. If you put different types of rums, rum agricole or a Jamaican rum or something, it will bring out certain flavors in those 43 flavor palette. Right. It won't bring everything. So when I put it in these pickled onions, I asked Chad, I said, can I put some liqueurs in there? Could I do? I said, it might. You want to stay away, especially if you want the Mazzetta pickled onion kind of thing. But it said maybe that liqueur 43 might work. And I put it in and it is fabulous. I mean, it's only a quarter ounce in this jar or whatever, but it just brings out a little vanilla and spice on top of the pickled. It's amazing. So then this weekend I'm doing ice cream. I'm doing protein ice cream, making this 400 calorie ice cream that has 70 grams of protein.
Nice.
And it actually is like vanilla caramel or something. So I've been getting into cooking and shit.
You're all over the map. So
that's the ADD, dude.
I know. Anders asked if we were okay. We were okay, but I will tell you very briefly that the first warning came on the phone. It said tornado watch. Then I'm in my office in Parsippany and I get tornado warning. And then about 20 minutes later, I get critical tornado warning. It says, go to the lowest part of your building, get in between like the area of a door. And if you have a blanket, cover yourself. And
because that blanket's going to really do great.
Yeah, I know. And then it says stay away from the window. Right. So then Dave goes, so what'd you do? I'm like, I went to the freaking window and looked out, but there's a pretty famous video now. Like if you go Google the Parsippany tornado, I literally work about, 3 minutes from where that tornado was in Parsippany. So fortunately,
that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it just was crazy.
Yeah.
And there was like 2 or 3 of them. There was one, I think, out by like Stanhope. And so they passed. It's over. Now we're in a nice weather pattern. And
yeah, my parents got the call, and my mom was on the phone. She's like, yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what to do, and your dad went to sleep. And I go, of course he did. Why every time something like this happens, 1% of the time something happens, generally it's not fill the bathtub with water kind of, you don't need to do any of this.
Yeah. Well, we're not, it's funny. We're in New Jersey, man. We're not used to that.
Yeah, no. Like when you had an earthquake, I think there was a couple of years back, you guys had an earthquake, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, we had that one earthquake, and it was actually like a 5. It was like a
Yep. But I think it was all the way down in like North Carolina or something. Like it's just the earth there is so much softer. I think it is, right? So it can flow a lot further. It just bounces
more longer.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I've been in earthquakes in both spots, and the one in New Jersey was just like, because my wife, I remember that day too, but like I look over at my wife and I go, oh, by the way, we're having an earthquake. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is an earthquake, because she didn't realize what it was. So
right,
I was
right, right.
Yeah. So New Jersey, funny. Man, it's full of it. But I said, like I was just saying, like our crisis aren't tornadoes. It's like property taxes, man.
Right, right.
That's what we get here. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna just wrap this up.
Yeah, real quick. Anders is saying he strapped on his guitar. We inspired him, dude. That's awesome. I honestly, dude, I cannot tell you how much I loved watching that. That I only have some small footage of that, and what Lawler always tells me about your playing, and sometimes when he checked you out back in the day and everything in Jersey or in Pennsylvania, I forget where it was. And yeah, it's everything. When I'm gonna next week for sure. So come in if you can, Anders, again next week. I'm gonna show that. First thing I'm gonna do is show the Anders lick that I transcribed. That was just this. It's really short, but it's just this funky little groove, and it's such a good lick. So next week is gonna be the Anders lick.
All right, we'll put that up, and then we'll put the official Anders picture from
Right. I gotta
1989
find
with the
one.
hair pulled back and the fanny pack.
Right. You said,
No,
"Hey
that's
man,
what we'll-
killer balsamic chicken capre." Oh man, that sounds amazing. Those were fucking crazy. Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's so much I want to talk about your cooking and drinking, your barbecuing, and all that stuff, and all the things you do. I want to talk about the GIT days for sure. That's the biggest thing. I'm just so fascinated with stories of GIT. Shane just put up a video about the 10 book again. If anybody hasn't watched it on his YouTube channel, it was a brief one. He had broken down the book of 10. I think it's called the Book of 10 or 10. I think it's just called 10.
10 I think
and it's basically 10 GIT teachers back in the day, and Eddie Van Halen was in there, but it was Howard Roberts, it was Joe
Don
Diorio,
Mock,
Joe
Robin
Pass,
Ford,
Robin
Joe
Ford,
Pass.
Don Mock, and it was they all wrote a chapter, and it was amazing. It was such a great book. It's hard to find now. I think you can find a PDF now, but he broke down that in maybe a year ago. He went through and he did little licks here and there. Oh, this lick, cool here, whatever, throughout the book. But this time he was just on with it wasn't Ron Eshtay. It was Les Weiss. He was on with him, who was in the book as well. And Les was telling a Van Halen story of how it was funny and why Van Halen had such a big smile and his arms folded in that picture. It's such a good story. But anyway, next week is going to be one of those weeks. We'll have fun and hope everybody has a great weekend. And please like, subscribe, share this with people, do all that good stuff, and ask us any questions post video. If you guys are watching this on the rerun feed, ask questions in on the YouTube video, and we do check those and we'll answer them and all that good stuff. Until next week, Steve, thank you for taking a lesson, and I'll see you all next week. See you, Anders.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
I don't know where my mouse is. Stop. And Anders says, thanks, Ron Eshtay. Ron, amazing. I used to see him at a little club here in Studio City. It was amazing. Ron's